All right, this is One Last Midnight. Welcome to an episode of Dwarf Fortress. Now, I've been wanting to play this game for a very long time, but it's been kind of, I won't say problematic, but definitely outside of my realm of expertise when it was a text-based game. It seemed like the level of entry was extremely difficult. Bay 12 Games has created a Steam version that has a user interface set to it that makes it a lot easier to learn and to use. It's still kind of difficult, but definitely the level of difficulty has been significantly reduced since you can kind of see what's going on without having to look at a bunch of characters and having to memorize what those text characters are supposed to be. The graphics help you, and it alleviates a lot of that problem of understanding what's happening in your world. So in this series, I am just going to try to help you guys get started in Dwarf Fortress. I've been playing for a little bit. I'm not an expert, but I definitely know how to get over the first initial humps of the game. So as I learn, I will share it with you. And if you guys have any comments on how to do something a little bit better or how to do something different, please use the comment section below to help me and teach everybody about this fantastic game called Dwarf Fortress. So when starting out, you're going to create a brand new world. Now you have a lot of choices here, and honestly, it depends on how long you want to wait. So what happens is the game actually generates a history for your world. It's writing thousands and tens of thousands of events that happened in your world, creating this really rich environment. So you can choose the map size, you can choose the history link. 250 is pretty good, but it's going to take a while to generate. And then there's other things, number of civilizations, the maximum number of sites, the number of beasts, neutral savagery, and then mineral occurrence. This will take a while to generate the history, but I'll click it and I'll show you what happens. So now it is building your world, and it prepares the elevation, it sets the temperatures, it creates the rivers. It's forming up the lakes and the minerals. It's placing the caves down, putting in cave population, and now it's actually making the history for this world. And you could see, if you look at the map, you could see little things appearing, and they correlate with some of these items that are being listed here. This is completely abridged. You can see we're already up to 56,000 events, and we're only in the year 84, 85. So these events are related around, things that are created, like a city that's created, or they're putting down named guys. And sometimes you'll have, somebody became killed off by whatever, or elves took over this area, or dwarves took over that area, or humans did something. And, like I said, it's generating a really in-depth, detailed history for your world. Once your world is completed, you'll have the total number of events that were created. And then it'll also allow you to move around your world to look at your world. You have a choice to keep the world and return back to the main menu, or you can play right now, which is what we're going to do. Regardless if you hit play now or save world and go back to the main menu, it's going to save your world off. Once your world is saved off, you have a couple different choices to choose from on the type of game that you want to play. The Fortress mode is kind of like a standard mode. I hate to say this, but think RimWorld. It's kind of funny because Dwarf Fortress was the inspiration that the creators of RimWorld used to create their game. Dwarf Fortress has been around for a very long time. But in this mode, you're developing your own dwarven settlement and civilization, and you're trying to survive as long as you can, which you're probably not going to survive very long. Adventure mode, which is not available right now, is more of a classic RPG mode where it's a first-person kind of mode and you're moving around. And the Legends mode is more of a chronicle of your game. Like you saw all those events that happened. Well, in the Legend mode, you're actually interacting with some of these past events and you're finding out what happens. We're going to play the Fortress mode. Some time will pass in order for you to get your caravan ready to embark into the new world. And then you go to the world screen and you're going to be embarking. Now you can choose at this point to start the tutorial. The tutorial is great. Go through the tutorial, but is a very linear path. It doesn't allow you to do anything other than what the tutorial wants you to do. Or you can skip the tutorial and you're on your own. Now the important part of this screen is picking your embark location. And in order to find out which embark location you really want to be on, you want to pay attention to the right-hand side of the screen. Picking your starting area is pretty important on how your game is going to play out. You know, you don't want it too hot. You don't want it too cold. You kind of want it right in the middle of that temperature range. And then you need to have trees. You don't necessarily need to be in mountains, but you could be close to the mountains. Your surroundings, you want to be in some sort of wilderness. And then you want to have some sort of shallow clay, shallow sand, soil, maybe light aquifer, maybe no aquifer. Definitely don't do heavy aquifer, because when you start digging down, you're going to have flooded layers, and you don't really want to deal with that maybe your first time out. When you find a general area that you want to play in, all you have to do is click, and it'll take you to a zoomed up version of this. And then you can move around a little bit more and see if you can find, you know, a better location to start on. And then you can also, you know, show the cliffs and the grades. You can see the green is a little bit more flat. And then, of course, the red is a lot higher up. You can also show an elevation map, so you can see what's going on with an elevation map. I think I want to start like somewhere in here. So I'm going to hit embark. And by default, you get this little 4x4 map area. You can increase and decrease this. Let's go ahead and embark. And once you hit this, you got play now. You can turn your enemies on and off. You can make them harder. You can have the economy normal or hard. We're going to leave it by default. And we're going to hit play now. And it's going to prepare our map for us. All right, so we landed in our area. I recorded this before, and it took way too long. So I'm going to try to abbreviate this whole thing and make it a lot quicker. My main goal and objective for this first video is just to get you to the point where you can survive. You're going to have enough food, you're going to have enough drinks, and you're going to start working on other workshops. Let me quickly go over the interface if this is the first time you've ever seen Dwarf Fortress, the Steam version or the Windows version, and I'll try to explain everything to you. So in the lower left-hand corner, you have a bunch of information tabs. All these little buttons down here on the bottom are the same tabs on the top. We have creatures, tasks, places, labor, work, orders, nobles, administrators, objects, and justice. In the bottom center are your building stuff: mining, chopping trees, gathering, smoothing rock areas, erasing stuff, putting down workbenches, furniture, doors, cages, that type of stuff. Defining a stockpile, defining a zone, establishing a burrow. A burrow is like a work area or some sort of housing area. Hauling routes for mine carts and high-low traffic areas. And then there's some additional icons over here that will allow you to set some lock or unlock settings, some delete or undelete settings, some furnace or unfurnished settings, and some visibility settings for for items. On the very top center bar, you have your town name, whatever your outpost is called, your population, how many people are happy, sad, or in the middle, neutral, your stockpiles of stuff, how much you have of anything. In the middle are approximate numbers, and they have that little tilde and the number next to it. And they will always be approximate numbers until you have an administrator that oversees it. That happens to be the bookkeeper. So that's this guy right here. You also have the time, what month you're in, what season you're in, and the year that you're in. And then over here, you've got in the far upper right-hand corner, you've got the mini map. And then you've got a couple other things, like you can set hotkeys on relocating. Hotkey number 1 by default is your wagon. So if I move way over here and then I hit F1, I'm going to move back to my wagon. So you can define several of these hotkeys to jump into particular areas once you start mining and moving around. You have some other recentering areas. You've got some recenter on the surface. You got some recenter in the deepest areas. You could set the zoom level. You can display water or magma at depth, up and down arrows for current elevation, and you can zoom out from the play area. In your mini map, it'll tell you the current elevation. If you use your mouse scroll wheel and you go up, you will go up 1 elevation. If you scroll down, you will go down an elevation. And finally, in the far right-hand corner, you've got your squad bar to build squads for people. And then you've also got your world screen where you can look at the world. You have some buttons on the side over here. So if you happen to move around on your map, you can center on your fort. There are missions. There are news and rumors, civilizations, missing citizens, artifacts, and reports. So that was the interface. And now let's drill into the gameplay. Let's get to the point where we can survive for a period of time. The very first thing that you want to do is go over to your Nobles and Administrators tab. Just click that little face down there in the lower right. Nobles and Administrators. We're going to set up a manager. And our manager is going to be the Expedition Leader. You can see he's an adequate organizer. We're going to set up a bookkeeper. We happen to have this guy, our planter. He happens to be proficient record keeper. And then we also have our broker. And then we have our miner. He's a novice appraiser. Or he's a skilled appraiser, and he's a novice judge of materials. So we just set up those guys. Now, it's not apparent what they do right now. It will become apparent later. But it's nice that you've got them set up and they're out of the way. The other thing you want to do is you want to go over to the labor tab, go to the kitchen area, and turn off eating plump helmets. So you don't want anybody to cook and eat plump helmets. Plump helmets only want to be used for drinks. This is really important because plump helmets are used to make drinks and they're also used to make food, but you can go through all of your food. If you use them to make drinks, what'll happen is you'll get a drink out of it and you'll also get a return seed. And you can continue to keep planting plump helmets. If you happen to eat plump helmets, then you're going to run out of seeds, and the next thing you know, you're going to run out of food, you're going to run out of drink, and you're going to be dead. So make sure to turn that off right away. Okay, let's get started with setting up our stockpiles. I'm going to make a stockpile down here. I'm going to hit that stockpile button. I'm just going to draw a stockpile out, pretty decent sized one. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to accept that stockpile. There are a couple things I want in this stockpile. So we're going to hit custom. And what I want in here is only want wood. So we're going to do select all for wood and only want stone. But I am going to want only the economic stone, other stone, and clay. Metal ores we're going to leave inside of our base. We're going to set up a second stockpile. So go ahead and click the stockpile button again. Find another area for a stockpile. Let's hit accept. And in this one, I only want corpses, all corpses, and I want all refuse. All right, we've got our two stockpiles set up, which is perfect. We've got an area to put our wood and our stone. We also have an area to put our garbage. Let's talk a little bit about mining. We're going to zoom in, and what you can see is in an area in which you're about to mine into, you can hover over that little bar of color. And it's going to tell you in the tooltip up above that this is a white sand wall. And if we go up a little bit, you're going to see this has changed. This is a rough hewn luminite wall. And if we go up a little bit higher, maybe we'll find some other stuff. Yes, this is a microline wall. I think I mispronounced that. This is a dolomite wall. This is a bioluminescent wall, coal wall. So you could see the material that you're going to carve into, and that's important because one of the first things that we need to worry about when carving in is trying to find an area in which we can put a farm down. And farms can be made off of several different things. You can make them out of sand, there's dirt, clay material, and I believe a mud material that you can put down a farm on. So we're going to dig in here, and we're going to kind of dig out like this, and we're going to let our digger dig. Our miner is complete. They've dug out that tunnel. This is our entrance tunnel into our mountain. And we've uncovered a couple things. We've uncovered a huge area of sand. So probably up here is a good area of sand. Down here is probably a good area of sand. That's going to make great farming areas. Over here, we've gotten into some rock. We've gotten farther into the mountain. And I think that's where we're going to set up our base. So let's go ahead and start planning this out. I want several things to happen all at once. I want my tree guys to be cutting down some trees so that I have some lumber available to me. So I'm going to click the little tree tab and I'm going to select some trees to cut. They're going to cut about 6. It's going to give me a decent amount of wood. I also want them to gather some stuff. So I'm going to let them gather whatever they can. There's some bushes here that they can gather things like some leeks they can gather, some whip vines, anything that they can gather, let them gather that up. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to create a stockpile to store everything that's on the wagon. And that stockpile is going to need to be pretty dang big. So I'm going to make a huge stockpile area over here. I'll also carve in a couple different entrances to this particular stockpile so that they can have easy access to it. Then I also want to focus on getting in my first farm. Now there's a little arrow over here when you have the pick. It's more additional things. This is priority. The number 1 through 7 is priority. Everything was set to 4. So I want to set a priority of 5. And the next item that I want them to build out is I want to put out a place for a farm. So I'm going to go ahead and build out a little room for a farm. And I'm going to make it pretty decent size. Right there is good. I'm going to change the priority to 7. And I'm going to start planning out where my work areas will be. I'm going to put a little hallway down here. And then I want my work buildings. They need to be 3 by 3. So I can start putting some 3 by 3 work buildings. And this is where our workshop items will go. 4 is pretty good for right now. On second thought, I just duplicated it to 8. And that should be pretty good. I'm going to change my priority again. And I want to extend out this hall. And I also want to start thinking about maybe putting down a room where people can gather. So this would be someplace where they can gather and eat. So it's going to be a pretty decent sized room. And then I also want a room in which people can do some sleeping. And this is going to be kind of just a dormitory. So I did a dormitory room. Now this is going to take a while to get dug out. So we're going to let our miner mine. Okay, once your main stockpile room is complete, let's go ahead and set up some stockpiles in there so we can store some of the stuff from the caravan. So I want to go ahead and draw out some stockpiles. Let's draw out something like this. Let's accept. Let's put in here finished goods in there. Let's draw out another stockpile. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. And we can do accept. We'll put cloth in that one. We'll draw out another stockpile. And let's put some furniture in there. We'll have another stockpile maybe for, I don't know, for weapons. And then we'll just have this big area down here. Just be kind of, I don't know, an everything stockpile. And what's going to happen is after we unpause it, everybody's going to get to work and they're going to start storing stuff inside of this stockpiled area. So they're moving their goods from the cart and they'll be working on getting that all set up. And you can see my miner is starting to work on getting the farm area cleared out. Okay, our miner has cleared out our food area where we're going to do our farm at. Not all of it is sand, but a good portion of it is. So we can have a couple decent farms in there if we want to. So let's go ahead and click on the structures and go to the workshops, and we're going to click on farming, and we're going to put down a farm plot. So we're going to have a nice size farm plot. I want to go back to structures, workshops, go back to farming, and I want to put in a still off to the side over here. And it's going to ask you what you want to make it out of. I want to make it out of, I don't know. Let's make it out of jet. Why not? We have enough of that. Now I want to make another stockpile. Let's make a stockpile right next to our still and our farm. And what we're going to put in here is custom. And we're going to put food in here, but we're only going to put in drinks. We want all of the drink plant. And we want all of the drink animal. Let's go back to this main stockpile here. And let's customize this stockpile and click on food and remove all of the drink plant and all of the drink animal. Now they're not going to start storing any drinks in here because we don't really have barrels. I think we might have a barrel or two, but not going to be really helpful for us right now because we're going to need some more stuff. But while we're here, let's go ahead and go back into workshops. Let's go into farming. Let's put in a kitchen, and we can put a kitchen right in next to the still. We're also going to make that out of jet. And then let's once again go back to the stockpile, and let's put in a stockpile right next to our kitchen area. And in that one, we are going to want to do a custom, go down to food, and I want prepared meals only. Let's go back again to our main stockpile. Let's go back to customs, and we're going to look at, and we're going to remove the prepared food. Okay, so we have our farm in place. We've got our stockpile to store drinks, our stockpile to store prepared foods. We're going to have a kitchen made, and we're also going to have a still made. And our miner is starting to work on our workshop areas where we can put in different workshops to help produce other things. Once our farm is complete, let's click on our farm And in spring, I want plump helmets. Summer, I want plump helmets. Autumn, plump helmets. You see where we're going. Winter, plump helmets. Plump helmets all the time. Once your wagon is completely emptied out, you can break down the wagon. So they're going to remove the wagon and bring out the wood. Now, there's some creatures that are also associated with the wagon. We brought in some animals. They need a place to graze or they're going to wind up dying off. So we're going to go into the zone area. And we're going to set up a pen and a pasture. And we're going to put that area right over here. We're going to accept. And then we're going to click on this little icon to select the animals. Dogs we want to have roam around. We've got a war dog. We've got a couple stray dogs. We've got some stray cats. These are fine cats and dogs. We want the alpaca, the rabbit, and the cow. And also the mule to be in our little pen area so they get fed. And we have another cow there. We'll take that cow as well. We're going to leave the dogs and cats running around because they wind up hunting stuff. And that's helpful for our fortress. Okay, we have our workshop areas built, so it's time to build in some more workshops. First workshop you want to put down is a carpenter. We can go ahead and let's go ahead and make this out of some sort of log type. High wood we happen to have a lot of. I also want to make another workshop, and let's make a stone worker. We'll put that stone worker right here. And let's go ahead and make that out of the high wood log as well. And let's put down another workshop. And I want to do a crafts area. And we'll make him out of high wood as well. Now, in this stockpile that I said I wanted everything in, there's actually some things that I don't want in. So I've already gone ahead and done this, but I want to remove the corpses. I don't want any corpses in there. I don't want any refuse in there. I don't want any stone in there, and I don't want any wood in there. The stone, the only thing I want for stone-wise is the metal ore. So keep the metal ore in there. But otherwise, remove those other things. And then that way, we're only storing what we really want to store. Now, for the work areas, I do like to have a little bit of storage here so they can go back and forth and they don't have to run all the way over here to get their stuff. So I want to go ahead and let's change our priority and let's dig these two things out. And we're going to put a storage area in here. And this one is going to be, since he's right across from the carpenter, I only want wood in here. And let's make another stockpile right across from the stone guy. And I want stone in here, but I don't want any metal ores. So take our metal ores and we say none, and we're all set. Now, once we have our carpentry guy built, we can actually start building things. We have wood. We can start building things. And typically the way you do things is you hit add new task and you look for what you want to build and you build it. And it's one-off, right? You do it one at a time. I want a barrel. I want another barrel. And they're going to create one at a time. We happen to make in the very beginning a manager. So we can set a work order to this building. And we can say, I want to have some barrels. It's going to make 10 barrels automatically. 10 is fine. We could change the number here. We could say we want 20, 30, 5. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to leave it at 10. I also want to make some bins to store some of my items inside of my storage area. So let's go ahead and make 10 bins. And then we're also going to need to make some beds because people are going to need to sleep. So let's go ahead and make 10 beds. That's good for now. Let's go ahead and go to our stone guy. Let's go to work orders. And we're going to want him to make some rock doors. Let's go ahead and make 10 rock doors. We're also going to want him to make some rock tables. Let's go ahead and make 10 rock tables. Let's go ahead and make 10 rock thrones as well. Inside our craftsman, let's go into work orders. Sorry. Let's go into rocks. We want actually rock mugs. Let's go ahead and make 10 rock mugs. Good. And we got some things being built. We're going to let those build up and then we're going to let people continue to keep digging out. Okay, so we've got our dining area finished. So let's go ahead and start setting up our dining area. And this is something that we need to sit down. We need to have an area for a meeting place so that people can gather together. So we're going to put down a meeting place. But then this is also going to be a dining hall. So let's go ahead and set this up as a dining hall as well. So it's a multifunctional. People are going to dine there. They're also going to meet there if they want to sit around and talk about whatever. They're going to hang out in this particular area right here. And it looks like I've got a couple tables and a couple chairs, but I'm going to let these tables and chairs complete. And also, I didn't tell you that there's notifications that pop up on the far left-hand side. You need to pay attention to these notifications because they're important pieces of information. Like the weather has cleared. We've been mining and we struck some opal and some agate. There was some constructions that had been canceled because things were blocking. And then somebody created a masterpiece item, a plum wood barrel. Good for you, Damas. Now that some of our furniture is complete, let's go ahead and set that stuff down. Let's go ahead and go into furniture. There are some tables that I want to set down. So I think I have like 3 tables. I'll just set those down. They're made out of various items. You can set up specifically what you want them to be made out of, but that's okay for now. We're just going to make them out of whatever is available. I also have some chairs that I want to set down. So let's go ahead and set down some chairs. We've got some thrones that they can sit down on. That is the beginnings of our dining area. We've also got a couple beds that have been created. So let's go ahead and put down those beds as well. We've got 2 beds that we can put here. And then let's also designate this as a sleeping area. So we're just going to put it as a dormitory. And we're going to drag that out so that this area is a dormitory. And now people know that they can sleep in there. And as more beds get made, we'll put more beds in there. Now, since we have a dining area and also a bed area, dormitory area, let's go ahead and get our food and drink taken care of. So I'm going to click on the still. I'm going to add a work order, and I want to brew drinks from plants. And I want to change the number of I always want to make, let's say, 50. But then I want to put a condition on it. So we can go to this greater than, less than, equal, not equal to thing. And we can say, if my drinks are less than, so change that number to 25, then go ahead and make 50 drinks from the plants. And this restarts when it's completed, and it checks the conditions on a daily basis. So that looks good. So this will never run out. If it gets less than 25, it's going to make more drinks. We're also going to go to the kitchen. We're going to do a new work order. And we're going to say, I want to prepare a fine meal. Once again, I want to do 50 fine meals. And I want them, once again, if it is less than 25 fine meals, I want you to make those 50 meals. Okay, so we have our food and drink set up. We'll never run out of food if we have the things to make our meals with. And we'll never run out of drinks if we have things to make our drinks with. We also need containers to put those in, but that's okay. We can continue to keep making barrels or bins, whatever they need to store those items. As we make more things like doors, or we make beds or tables, we're going to place them down in our appropriate area. So let's see, we got a shale door here, shale door there. Let's do shale doors here and here. Let's put in the front of our base here. Let's put a shale door. And I don't have another one, but once I get another one, we can close off the entrance to our fortress. And this is the very basic of your dwarf fortress. This is all you need to get started. You've got a farm, we've got a still, we've got a kitchen, we're making food and drink. We've got some stockpiles that are set up for garbage. We've got some stockpile for wood and stone. We've got additional stockpiles which we can put specific items, and we can change this if we need to change this, depending on what we're making. We've got an area started here for our crafts area, our working area. We've also got our dining area and our meeting area, and then we've also got our dormitory in which people can sleep. And this is all we need right now to get started. You can survive for a little while and make your people kind of happy. Just build more beds, build more tables, start working on like statues and other things to make your areas look nice, and people will be happy and satisfied. Stay tuned for the next tutorial, because the next tutorial we're going to cover trading. We're going to cover more and different type of workshop areas and things that you can build in order to be able to trade some items. We'll also possibly start getting into building up our armies, but I think that's probably going to be a little bit later when we actually start smelting irons, and maybe start expanding areas out and giving our dwarves more things that they might possibly need, such as their own separate bedrooms and maybe a temple, maybe something else. Not entirely sure. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on getting started with Dwarf Fortress. We'll be making a lot more. So if you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Would love to have you in the community. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, you can find the links in the description below. And make sure to hit that notification bell. That way you know when I go live and when I post new videos. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.